To the moon. I think we're going. I think we're live. Are we live? We're live. Hello and welcome to Affordable Door and Gate. Hope everybody's doing great. As always, you're more welcome. Bring up anything, comments when we do the lives. If you're new, welcome. You're more welcome to ask questions. If you guys come across anything or think of anything, bring it up. I'm a little out of it. I ain't gonna lie. It was a very early morning. There was stuff going on today out in the cold. I think I got windburn on me even. So I'm a little bit like, woo, bed is gonna feel good tonight. I see Evan's in the house. We'll see if so just to put this out there, I think for Papa Tony and for Evan. Can't guarantee this. I think I know how to get back in the stream. I did it the last time when Papa Tony and Evan were running the show. And after they were done, I played with the computer. I had to shut it down, actually. It still stayed on. It's crazy, right? I had to shut the computer right down completely. And I rebooted it. I went back into the software and I could enter it. Which we did, and we could actually hear ourselves. So that was pretty cool. So I don't know if it locks up for some reason. Hey, maybe give it a minute. Let me reboot, and we'll go from there. It's a learning process. That's just what it is. First. Evan. He was right on it too, man. Thing says it was supposed to be live in 3 minutes ago. Yeah, it's weird. It's like when I start generating it, I think when I get to the one screen, because I can start seeing the comments, and that's what threw me. I think Rich B was the first time he commented, and he's like, "Where's the action?" And I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "You can message me right now, like we're kind of in it." But it's got like a 2-stage thing where I got to like hit live and hit live again. Still playing around. Like I said, honestly, I kind of like it to lock up because I'd like to try to see if I can reboot. Because so like the last time with Papa Tony and Evan, my screen literally was going like it had like the computer, how computers make these weird like noises that you're like, it's never made that noise before. But it was sitting here and it was kind of like doing this and the screen just totally froze. I mean, I couldn't move the mouse, I couldn't type. Absolutely nothing I could do besides hold the button, reboot, basically unplug it from the wall, whatever you got to do, right, to reboot it. But I didn't want to do that when they were in the midst of it because I thought for sure it was going to kill the stream. But it seems like it doesn't. It seems like they're actually entered in. That's why they get to keep going. And I got booted out, but I could re-enter from what I can tell. So if it happens, we'll see. We'll have to do another one sometime here. 3 minutes ago. It does. I was just talking to Mr. Tony. Tony's got the van back, which is great. Sounds like an oil change messed some stuff up, right, Tony? On the van, man. It's hard. It's hard to depend on. So while we're kind of on that subject a little bit, we have an oil change place that we used to work for. What do they have? 1, 2. They had like 5 locations, family owned. That's what kind of blew me, right? They were the 3rd generation, and I can't say for sure. I know there was a buildup. There was tons of buildup, right? There was 2 brothers that were involved. One stepped down eventually and went and worked at like a shop or something. You know what I mean? The other one kept running it. And talk about stress, man. Talk about stress. I mean, the dude looked like he was, I don't want to say like stoned, but he looked like he was like, and he would go golfing a lot. That was his like I knew he wasn't having a good day when employees would say, I think he went golfing today. I was like, that's not good. But anywho, there was something with like cocaine or something like that in the bathroom and nobody would confess to it. And this, like I said, this ain't the one time. Right. And then finally he was getting rid of it. And it just is amazing sometimes how things can change. So like, the one location we had some door sections, and he was nice enough. He called me and told me, he said, "Hey man, I'm selling the business." And I just kind of, at first I said, "I understand." It was like 7 o'clock at night. And he said, "I just want to let you know, you've been a good customer or a good vendor of ours. And I hope, whoever, who's taking over, you do good service for them too." Yeah. Yeah. We'll do our best. And that kind of goes like, we'll scratch your back if you scratch ours. Right. And, well, I didn't realize the company that they were selling to was not a very good company. We've done work for them actually up north, and they've been nothing but a waste of time. Right, every time we'd go up there, and need like a jack shaft opener. You explain it to them, and they try like there was nobody you could talk to, like nobody in charge. That was always the worst. And guess what happened when they bought the locations in the neck of the woods of the shop and everything? Well, guess what? There's nobody in charge. We've done stuff. They signed up with some other door company, hit and miss. It was like, you're not even worth it. You know what I mean? Where what was always nice is I always had one guy, it really came down to. We never tried to bother each other, but we could always, when it came down to it, you know, he would contact us and say, "Hey, you guys got some oil changes," which happens, right? We just got behind, maybe the secretary didn't catch it or whoever, right? For some bills. Hey, not a problem. We'll cut you a check. Or if we need to make an executive decision on our end, hey, we got a door. I always loved the fact that he would just go, Dave, he goes, "I trust you. Do whatever you got to do." Okay, that's all I needed to hear. That's why sometimes it's sad with the small business, right? Tanner's in the house. He says, "I'm here." Um, because some people don't realize a lot of the small business, how you get so much more better treatment, right? For instance, we just had a restaurant that got bought out. How do I explain it? They were two different business partners. They had different locations, but they all joined like the same advertising. I think there's like one, two, three, four. There's like four locations of the one. The other one only has two locations, but they all work together, right? In tandem. And not anymore, right? The one bought, right? It was funny, right? It's crazy to think about this, right? In the restaurant business, because the place that bought the one that has the more locations, right? They own a sign company. So I mean, they like redid the whole inside, different lounge. It's like more like a Starbucks. Like you sit in their lounge, you know what I mean? Like you should bring a laptop in there. It used to be more kind of like just an old school restaurant. You go in there, you eat, do your thing, right? They changed all that, and they got stickers everywhere, advertising everywhere. But their service has gone so far downhill. You can't get your own drinks. I tell you what, that's a killer for me. If I cannot fill my own soda, I'm pretty much out. McDonald's is doing that now too. It drives me nuts. I won't go to certain locations. Don't eat McDonald's, not good for you, right? And but the other two locations have stayed old school, and they are thriving. You know what I mean? And their prices are not screaming like the other ones are. So bad service, high prices, no good, no good. And I see them blown up on social media all the time. And what's really bad is the owner come on and go, "Our numbers aren't that bad." And he'll take screenshots of it. And it's like, dude, don't do that. That's like ticking people off. Dun-dun. We tried our best, man. Evan, you guys did a great job. I was so proud. I really was. I was sitting back. I was having fun with the wife. We could, I was having her do some messaging and everything. I was having a great time. So you did an awesome job. Thank you for taking over the reins. Are you set up for super chats? That is a good question. Um, I thought I turned it on at one time, you know what I mean, to try to play around, because I kind of thought about doing some kind of like giveaways or like some openers. And it was going to be like, I didn't quite know how I was going to set it up. I was going to do something where it was going to be like, hey, you gotta put in $5 or something, and, or you might, like, I thought about even increasing it and then do something like, you'll get like a free shirt or something, but, you'll be part of the drawing for like an opener or something, which I did want to bring up because I do see Rusty's in a comment or two down. So Rusty actually brought this up too, and I forget which one of you, if it's somebody on here or not. that did mention that there was a problem with the LiftMaster, and Rusty brought it to my attention too that it sounds like, at least with the chain drive, there wasn't that much grease on the gear. He sent me a video. It was making a horrible sound. They opened it up brand new and didn't realize there wasn't much grease. So it sounds like Rusty put the grease on her and that quieted up. So something to look out for is those openers. They might get chewed up quicker. I don't know what LiftMaster's doing. I thought about kind of blasting them, you know what I mean? And be like, what is going on? And the thing is like some of the companies I bring up, all I would like to hear from some of these companies, I'm sure some of you would too, is they can basically text me, they can email me, and they would say, hey, we'd like to do a follow-up, even if it's just a typed out memo that says we had a, because hey, I think we all understand we're human and things happen and corporations and that, but when it's like I get so irritated nowadays. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I get so irritated nowadays when you call somebody, right? And you're like, have you, I ask this, I'm like, have you guys had this problem before? And you always get the other person, no, Mr. Dupton, no. I never heard of this problem. I'm like, I know this phone conversation is being recorded. Can you just please tell me the truth? Like, I just want to know, like, when I go to sleep tonight, I'm not losing my stuff. You know what I mean? Like, can you just tell me, yeah, we've had a few issues. Okay. I get that. You know what I mean? Things happen, and tell me like we are fixing it or something instead of me having to call 7 technicians or tech support people. And for me to only find out that I had to go to an IDA show to a sales rep. And I'm like, hey, there's a problem. And he's like, oh yeah, actually, come here, come with me. You want some popcorn? And I'm like, now I get the truth. Evan says, did anyone else know Rusty's name isn't actually Rusty? I like Rusty. We're going to keep it Rusty. Rusty's got, what's up, guys? What's up, Rusty? Anything new? Fix anything? Break anything today? Oh, water's tasting good. Evan says, nominate Rusty to Council of Moderators, says Eka. What are you trying to say there? What are you trying to say, Evan? Moderator. Rusty want to be a moderator? I should put him. I thought he already was. I don't know if I can do it on here. I got hide. Might not be able to do it on this software. This one's a totally different, it's not as nimble. I can do show. Let me see if I can even do. I can delete. Nope. I can put them in a timeout. Ban user, delete their comments. No, we're not doing that. I'll have to do it on the phone. Maybe I can do it on the phone. What's up? Let's see here. Evan, at least your McDonald's still gave plastic straws. Yeah. We had a few businesses that were doing that, kind of a more local, little bit mom and pop with the cardboard straws. And it's kind of funny. I mean, this is what drives me nuts. I'm sure you as a man feel the same way. You know what I mean? Like, I just treat me like a damn adult. You know what I mean? And so like the other day, I don't know what it was. I'm watching something, right? And they're talking about the glue that they put on those cardboard straws, how toxic it is, right? It's like way worse than the plastic. And I'm just like, it's like to this day, I can't tell you, should you eat eggs or should you not eat eggs? Should you cook your eggs? Maybe you should fry your eggs. Maybe you should scramble your eggs. Come on, man. It's like, I mean, all this technology, all these years, and it's like nobody can tell you, it seems like there's no matter what it is, nobody can tell you 100%. Like maybe you can tell like the sky, but somebody could still skew that. You could say the sky's up, ground is down. I don't know. I'm just saying like everything is always like no proven. It drives me nuts. It's like I want to know what's behind these openers. Like so I think LiftMaster got bought out. Not recently, but they did get bought out. It's like, what was I following something? I came across something for Nissan, and they were saying something about it sounds like the CEO or something like that from Jeep, Daimler Chrysler, whatever. It's not Daimler Chrysler anymore. Oh, what is it called? Stella? Oh, I can't think of the name. Sterling? Can't remember their new name. That guy is coming over to Nissan, and so people are like, yeah, like the quality control normally on the Dodge products haven't been that good lately. So that'll probably help out old Nissan. It's like, how do these people even get where they're at? Getting rid of those soda grazers. Yes. It's funny, Rich. Rich B's in the house. Welcome. It's weird because I'm kind of torn on it because so we went to this one, right? Because normally when my daughters help me, if they're close or whatever, that's normally their first one. Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets. And I'm always like, I hate going there because the service is just horrendous. And so there's one location I will go to in town that doesn't push the kiosks. So recently I went to one. Believe this or not, went to one McDonald's. Went to one. You went into like it almost looked like you're going into the bathroom, right? They made it so small, and as you're standing there by the cashier register, there is nothing. Can you believe this? I mean, no signs at all. No digital ones, not turned off. Nothing. Nothing. As far as I could see, I'm like, "Where's your menu?" And so I ended up deciding I had to go off memory. Of course, the kid knew what she wanted, right? She's like, "Yeah, I want this. I want blah blah blah." And so I told the lady, boy, I said, they must be really pushing those kiosks, and she goes, oh yeah. And there was 4 of them behind us. I didn't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I want service. So I told the kiddo, I said, we won't ever come back here. I said, we will never step foot back in this place as long as I'm driving or whatever. I will find another place. I'll go to mom and pa. I'll go to Walmart and I'll buy a grill and I'll just cook it out in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous. So not cool. Another one with the drinks. We were sitting at one. The service was horrendous. I watched. It must have been the driver of the one person, right? They're walking in. The girl that's working actually grabs a cup. She puts it behind her back, whatever. She hands it to her friend. Her friend goes over to the fountain drink, fills it up, walks out. And I'm sitting there just going, that's plain theft. You know what I mean? And I've seen it. I've seen it before too. Maybe a couple years ago or whatever too. Right? You see people just walking off the street having a cup, and they fill their stuff up and they walk right back to the door. Not cool, man. Not cool. So I get both sides. You know what I mean? But it's like we're kind of going away from maybe like society of like maybe we need to spank the kid. A little punishment, a little something. You know what I mean? Instead of just letting them get away with it. I don't know. Hmm. McDonald's got rid of the colored straws. McDonald's got rid of everything, right? They used to be so cool when you went in when you were a kid. They have like the hamburger seats and stuff. All that stuff's gone. Just cookie cutters. Evan's got rich. We have paper straws everywhere. Man, they all get nasty over a while too. They sit, like in your car and you're driving around. You go to take like you still got like half a drink or something. Take a guzzle out of it. You're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be watered down a little bit, but now it's like paper. We're gonna have to meet at the border, Evan, and we'll have to we'll get you some straws, man. Rich has got back in the 60s, there was paper straws. Oh my gosh. I feel like this stuff gets shoved down us somehow, right? Like it comes back, kind of like electric cars. They were, many, 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 many years ago, right? And then now they went away. Now they're pushing them real hard again, coming back. I don't know if they're going to stick this time. We're live. He said, Rusty said you were live. Evan says, let me make sure I clock down this thing. Only way to buy plastic straws in Canada is Amazon. Oh man. Oh, the mafia. I'm gonna have to crack down on that puppy. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna tell him too. Call Basil or whatever on his boat. Rich B sure was. Probably some cool times, man. Some cool times, cool cars, man. Mm-mm. What are you, 90 Rich? Nah, he's not that old. Rich, what year did you start your business? Ooh, good question. Good question. Long story short. Must have another one here. Long story short. Rich has got it's a long story. Ooh. Evan says, Rich, are you a vampire? Ooh, man. Rich has always got some good stuff. Don't forget too, Rusty. I know it's here on the phone. I'm not gonna dig it up because I'll probably screw it up. But throw that model up too. That one that didn't have the grease on it, just so everybody's kind of seeing it. Because obviously you heard about it, and then now we should make sure that way too. People are you know letting the community know because that's not cool, man. It's kind of like the RPM sensors that happened with the genies. I think they rectified it and fixed it, but it's kind of nice to know. Dave, when you find out what Evan is paying for springs, all of us are going to be on a race to the border to sell springs in Canada. Oh, they even, I wonder for Evan if they're even pretty expensive through Amazon. I would assume Amazon kind of keep it even, but maybe not. Maybe not. Those springs, man. Like I said, springs can go down a pretty long rabbit hole. I mean, you guys are more welcome. Throw them in the comments where you get your springs. Because I'm telling you what, when I was kind of starting out, even to this day, I think we might have one over Detroit. I don't even know the name of it, but the only place I can, if you said I need springs, I go Amazon or I'd go Service Spring. I didn't realize there was that many. It's really kind of weird. Is I don't know why. I have no idea why. I thought about building or making springs. And come to find out, I don't know if I'm sure they're not the only one. But the company is literally 5-6 miles away from the shop that actually makes the machines. Because I had to look real hard. I think I was watching a Service Spring video and I was zooming in on their machines. I was like, where's that company out of? God darn it, 6 miles away from the shop. Are you serious? I was like, no stinking way. This big old place that did a bunch of add-on. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go with this one. The first is here. Ooh, that's a cool little picture. I like that. Just get yourself a couple of stainless steel straws. I think that's what my wife used for quite a long time. I don't think she's using it now anymore. But I tell you what, man, I felt like it was hard on the teeth every time you go try to get it's got like the straw, it's got the curve. You go down to get a drink, and it's like right on your teeth. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna break my teeth. Dave, what was going on in Ontario? Also, Evan. So I got this. I haven't been doing my due diligence. I've been kind of, believe it or not, been kind of busy. So there's a place. It's kind of weird, right? It's precision of some sort, but it's not part of precision. It's not part of the precision that we know of, precision garage doors. You know what I mean? It just sounds like that's kind of like their name. You know what I mean? Like they're not part of that group. And there was just different ways. I've been talking with somebody. They were talking about maybe going over there, and I don't even know how many guys they have or people, women, men, children. I don't know. And so they were talking about that. And that's why I was kind of thinking about you, Evan, because I was like, well, how far is Evan? Because I just thought, hey, might work out where, hey, you kind of, You could work with somebody and, but it sounds obviously they're pretty far away. But they were just, we're still in email chat. I just haven't, I don't think I responded to the last one. We were bouncing stuff back and forth, but maybe they were talking about maybe like possibly a phone call, maybe a meet. I'm not quite sure. It kind of threw me. They wanted maybe some like tips and tricks. And I was like, well, you're Precision. I was like, Precision knows everything. That's a franchise. So I was like, you could probably teach me. And so, and they were like, no, we're not part of that. And I said, oh, okay. I said, wow. So I don't know how many people they got and stuff like that. I don't know how much I could benefit them. I want to make sure it's worth their while. Dun, 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 dun. Dun. Rich has got McDonald's used to have small coffee spoons, but they got to get rid of them too. Why do they have to get rid of those? That's weird. I gotta make this text message real quick. Let me check this out. Hang on. Let's see here. When you got tenants, you got a key problem here. So if you got questions, though, throw them in the comments. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just, like I said, I had power tool issues today. I wasn't real happy with the Milwaukee. I was a little bit bummed the performance. And like I said, it was cold. It started snowing. We got really slippery roads right now. Oh, let's see. What do we got? I think Tanner was talking about when he was saying something about the flex. I think Tanner was talking about that earlier. And I could be wrong with that. When he said flex for power tools, I was assuming DeWalt. Of course, my buddy shows me today. He's got the DeWalt framing nailer. I got to hold it. I was like, so this has got a flywheel in it, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, it'll shoot all day. I'm like, sweet. What's this one got? Evan, Rusty had the talk with me today. I'm gonna raise my prices. Nice. Raise them up. Oh, Rusty, I passed Rusty on there. He had the smiley faces. Ooh, started snowing here about 6 p.m. Yeah, we really didn't get much snow, but we got that perfect amount that made the roads just glass. I've been watching the old the scanner form, whatever you want to call it. I mean, within probably the last 4 hours, I must have seen at least 20 plus accidents. I think one was a 50-car pileup, and I'm like, where? On some back road it's a little bit tricky. It's got some hills, I'm not gonna lie. But the intersection is just glass, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I was seriously thinking, I really don't know how bad the studs are, but we just keep getting this weird cycles nowadays. And I'm seriously thinking about studding some tires because I don't like slipping and sliding. But all I know is the snow tires right now are a little bit vibrating, especially on dry roads. They are not the smoothest. They're a little bit noisier, not much. I mean, it's not that bad. It just makes you feel like you're like, what is that noise? Do I got a wheel bearing or something? What the heck is that? Like a sound almost reminds me of like a vibration in your drivetrain in your drive shaft. But like today, when you're at the job, right, and it starts snowing like the Banshees, and you're watching everybody slipping and sliding, you're like, I am going home. Oh, Evan says we got about 12 centimeters of snow yesterday. Whoa. Whoa. I think then we're gonna get another heat wave. Does anybody got who's gonna have a white Christmas? That's in the chat. You gonna have a white Christmas? Or are you gonna have a green? Or I think we're scheduled to have a green Christmas from what the weatherman has been saying. We're gonna get another, we got a little cold snap. We're gonna warm back up next week. What's everybody doing? So here's something, right? I typically go with whatever the vendor. It's one of those things. I'm not at the helm, so I'm not kind of in the control of the ship. But you know, I was kind of thinking about it. I was just mentioning it to the wife the other day, and I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "Because this year is really messed up. Because when is it? What is it? Wednesday is for Christmas, right? So I mean, it's like, you know, to me, I'd rather have a long, you know, like to me, the weekend and then take everything off till Wednesday doesn't sound that entertaining. Come back Thursday, Friday. To me, it's like maybe take a half day Tuesday, um, take Wednesday off, take Thursday off, take Friday off, and then have the weekend off. Come back Monday, fresh. And maybe you sacrifice. That's always a tricky one. Everybody's different for the New Year's. It's difficult because if you have employees, some of them like to party down, and the next day is like last thing you want to do is drive your vehicles intoxicated or not feeling the best and smashy smash, or just them getting hurt in the whatever, you know, in general, you know. Oh, things to think about, huh? Do 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 do. Rich is got had to get rid of them because of the Coke. Oh, the Coke. The Coke, the Coke. Evan's got Dave. Did you see and actually is it build with Tony into whining bars after we wrapped up the live stream Sunday? I don't know. What's he doing? Using this is into the using the whiny bars. Oh, is that one night he was working? He was using something in the background. Never knew. I know I just cut some down. And so I think Papa Tony's supposed to still give me some dimensions eventually. Like, can they fit within 3 inches from the ceiling? Because I don't know what it is, but I'm cursed right now. I keep coming across springs that are slammed up in the, you know, up by the ceiling. And every time I get up there, I always think about you guys. I always think about Papa Tony. I go, Papa Tony, I go, he wouldn't fit his Sherwinder up here. No. You know, and I'm sitting there and I'm like winding the springs. I even took some I had to cut down. I was like, well, now I can't get rid of these. You know, these are my cut down version. I even had to cut the hexagon ones. I was bummed. I got a couple old ones. So I took the rustiest ones and I cut those down. I was bummed. I was like, man, I don't really want to cut these ones down. It's like, these are good bars. But I was darned if I was going to take that strut off. I didn't want to take the strut off. I was lazy. I was like, I ain't taking the strut off. And I couldn't do the broom trick. Dun, 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 dun. Tanner, he says, no, I didn't meant Flexi said I meant I have had the Walt for the past 8 years, but now that I have more trucks, he says I went with DeWalt. What does I got? Oh, Makita Metal. I can't ever say Metable. And if I hire a guy next week, I'll look into Flex. What is? I'll look into Flex. I don't know what Flex is. Tanner, you're going to send me a picture or something. I don't know what Flex is. What is Flex? I never heard of that. Is that just like a whole brand of its own? Just get them Ryobi. They're all the same. Just get them Ryobi. I'd take Ryobi. I don't even care. I'll take Porter Cable. I don't know. I don't care. They don't really bother me. Like I said, I think DeWalt got bought out or something. I don't know. Not DeWalt. I'm sorry, Milwaukee. I just have not been super impressed, with the Milwaukee. They work, but today in the cold, they really let me down today. Just wasn't doing so good. I definitely absolutely have to get. I think I have the 6 amp or whatever it is. It wasn't the smallest ones, and my skill saw was not working. That skill saw since day one's been a joke. I was just everything seemed like it was really having. It was like I don't even know how to describe it. Everything I was using today, and my here's the thing, right? So my stuff overnight sits in a heated garage, so it's not like the stuff was right out in the frozen cold. And then it started getting cold and then started snowing. But everything was like I don't even know how to describe it. You know how stuff like runs fast? I kept using the skill saw and it was like I kept thinking the blade was slipping too. I kept going, how am I jamming this up? You know what I mean? And so I'd back out, I'd go back into it slow, and it just was fighting me. And then the leaf blower literally just full bars just starts blinking at me, like just cuts off. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, guess it says it's full of battery, but I don't know why it's I don't know all the blinks mean, why it's all blinking. Never had this happen before. And I just had that day where I was just like, of course, when you're in the warm garage, no problem, nice summer day. But I was like, now I'm out in the stinking cold with snow and, snow's building up on me. And I'm like, this stinking thing. Evan says, we always have white Christmas. Man, I bet. So far north, man. So far north. Da-da. Thursday. Dave, we are too busy to take Thursday and Friday off. Oh, man. Bummer, man. Bummer. We used to. I don't remember why we used to be so busy. Maybe it was because I almost feel like some of our commercial will shut down. Like they'll just take like some of the mechanic ones in the shops, they'll take like the whole week off. So some of those ones will get shut down. Oil changes and stuff like that will stay open. Road commissions and stuff like that will stay open for certain things, but they'll have a skeleton crew. So it just kind of all depends, It's nice. It is really nice at the holidays, if you can get them off, But I've been there. Sometimes you gotta. Normally what I like to do is follow whatever the vendor, whoever you like, if it's Clopay or if it's Wayne Dalton. Normally I would always follow Wayne Dalton, whatever their schedule is like. If they're going to take those couple days off, we would just follow suit. It's a lot easier. Oh, Rich B. He says Flex is sold at Lowe's. Really? I think Tanner did send me a picture. Let me click on it real quick here because now I'm so blown away. I was just literally there. Oh, okay. I wonder what the Flex is based. If it's just based off like the Cobalt, you know what I mean? Like really, what we need to do is we need to find out who we're making. Who's under this. Like it's Black and Decker. It's Black and Decker's really DeWalt, right? I mean, at least that part I know. The rest of them, like I just found out, like I was listening to a video for a saw, a chop saw, and I think Rigid is part of Delta. They're either Japan or Taiwan or something built, and I was like, I didn't know that, It's really weird, you know what I mean? It's really hard. Because in my head, I'm not gonna lie, years ago, right? I was pretty much bulletproof on like, either I'm a hardcore DeWalt guy or I'm a hardcore Milwaukee guy. And now I'm always feel like, it's kind of like with the garage door openers, it's kind of like with the cars. I can't be committed to one brand anymore. I have to do the research. I'm always searching for the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry basket. And it seems like it's always changing. You know what I mean? It's like, this one, this one's stinking, let me throw that one in there. This one don't smell so bad. I'll use this today. That's just how it feels. Stuff is changing. And then when it sells out and you don't know that, and then it takes them 2 or 3 years to start having the bean counter do something and change something. It's very, very irritating. Very. So Tony laughing away. Oh, Rich says I just cut me a pair down to 10 inches. Yeah, I think mine were right around there, 10 or 8. They were midgets, man. I mean, I actually took I had a magnet sitting around. So I actually took a magnet, just a round puck one, and then I was setting that on the door. So when my winding bar would sit down, it would sit on the magnet instead of like puncturing. It was a steel back door, and I had it just where it was almost hitting the strut, but it was, I can't have it too tight because it was just, it'll hit the strut, make a bunch of noise, and or get jammed up. So I just put a little magnet there, and I just let it set on the magnet while I was winding it. It was a booger, but it worked. Rainy Christmas. Ooh, we might have that too. You never know. We're kind of in the same hemisphere. I don't know. Tony, one thing I was always wondering about you down there, do you get a lot of lake effect, or do you even get lake effect at all? What's up, Jeffrey? The name sounds so familiar. What's the broom trick? He says, I leave a lot of tap panels off that tight even with short rods. So the broom trick, Papa Tony introduced me to it, but it's like you almost like wedge it, like the strut, and then you like push down the broom, and then you either take bungee cords or whatever to actually pry out the torsion tube. If you just need like a quarter or half an inch, and you can use other stuff, whatever's stiff, a piece of pipe or something that you got, a chunk of wood, a 2x4 you could wedge up in there. But when I seen it, I was like, I can't say I haven't ever tried to yank on it a little bit just to get a little more. Or I've had somebody even hold the torsion tube out. I'm like, hold it out. I just need like a quarter inch. So just kind of a good idea if you're by yourself. I think he was even one of them. He's using like a pipe bender. You could use that, the tube on it just to get out. It works probably better on like 16-foot doors. The wider, you got more torsion tube to get more flex out of it. And you got to use common sense because obviously if you're, your torsion spring or your mounting bracket there is going to come off the wall or do something crazy. You just gotta use the old noggin. Yeah, that's right. Tony, man, open 24/7, baby. I thought about seeing if, possibly, because we don't do any after hours, or we don't take weekends anymore. And I always kind of enjoyed those. So I thought about seeing if Caleb would want to take those on, keep some customers happy, make him a few dollars, keep the business with a few dollars too. Might be more headache than worth, but you never know. I used to like it because shoot, you add $100, $300 on top of it, and customers would, they'd pay it. The first Flex is extremely overpriced for that money. You might as well import Japanese Makita tools. Those are built to last forever. Ooh, I like. This is good. This is good. I think the biggest problem, something that we all got to consider, and I'm just thinking this right now too. I wanted to let Evan know before I forget. Evan, thank you. Thank you for mentioning on that video I just posted today about bringing the door. I don't know why I never even thought about it, but Evan he said, what he mentioned about lowering the doors down in that video. He said, why not just take those doors, have them frame it out for those doors, bring them down. Why didn't I think of that? You know what I mean? There you go. That's money saved, baby. So Evan, thank you. That's why this is great. This is why I like posting things. I appreciate you guys. Cause like I said, when he said that, I was like, what an idiot. I was like, why didn't I think of it? So I actually did send it out to the guy. So, anyways, on the power tools. Here's my thoughts, my 2 cents. I think what we always have to remember, I feel like as I get older, and I get more white things on my face, we always have to remember dealership. Where are you going to get service? I cannot tell you. So kind of like for us, like the rigid, and it's weird how life changes. Life is always going to change. Your life's going to change. My life's going to change. It's always changing. We all know that. And so when I did the rigid, right, I used to have a lot of time. So I would go on the computer and type it all in and register it right and get the lifetime warranty, blah, blah, blah. That was scary. New kitty. So anywho, so like the DeWalt, we used to be able to go into, I think it was Home Depot. We were buying some of that stuff. We'd always normally buy the kit. The kit was always cheaper. So you gotta always make sure you buy, because some of you guys know, Tanner knows, or he's going to know, employees can be really tough, right? Because I had an employee one time, I remember, within a week, he lost 2 sawzalls. Hey man, I lost sawzall. Whoa. And it's one of those things, right? I mean, when you're humping, it's like, well, I can't have him, well, I can't go to work today because I ain't got a sawzall. I need to cut angle. So, I went and bought another one. I mean, like that. Hey man, what? Dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I think what we should do, I'd love to hear you guys' theory. Rusty's one of them, an email, something, whoever, right? Anybody. I think what you really need to do, I wish I would have done right from the get-go, in a sense, is I would give them, I think my dad always said, or there's the one guy that mentioned it on, like he buys them like $5,000 worth of power with tools. This is for a mechanic though. Even more, maybe it's 10 or 50. I can't remember. It's the one guy, Dave's Garage. And they're basically paying them off, but they got to be with them for 5 years. You know what I mean? But they're earning, so they already get these tools. And I think that's a great way, because you'll realize that people just don't take care of the stuff. That was kind of the problem I've always seen is it's amazing how people are controlled by money. Everything, right? Your vehicles, nobody's going to take care of the vehicle better than you, because employees don't care. You know what I mean? They don't care about slamming the door. They don't care about burning out tires. They don't care about slamming on the brakes. They don't care about you know what I mean? The list can go on and on, but like the power tools. And then the problem is, what I've seen, it's been a big challenge, is you can buy them all these tools, right? And they leave them behind. And I've left a lot of tools behind, right? That's why like Caps always talked about I thought was ingenious, right? We'd always lose battery chargers, because you always put them in somebody's house or somebody's basement or down the corner somewhere outside or whatever. So he'd always he had a clip, one of the little clips you clip on your belt. He'd clip it on there, his keys to his van. So when he gets in his van, he's like, oh crap, I ain't got my keys. Oh, it's clipped to my charger, right? He's done that. Now I know he just mentioned he had a problem with somebody that didn't do that again. And he's like, dude, I'm telling you, get a clip and clip it, But I've seen guys, their vehicle's been in service for a while. And you go in their vehicle, you're like, how in the hell do they even like get jobs done? And then there's that crummy part now, because now there's that part that is it's a twofold, right? It's a bad situation, because for one, you're paying them to go do a job, but it's taking them an extra 20 to 30 minutes to an hour because they don't got the right tools. So then you got to babysit, and then you got to, so now you got to buy these tools that they're going to potentially go and lose again. You know what I mean? Because it's not their tools. They don't care. They're not like, oh my gosh. So that's why it's always tough, the efficiency level, where like if you were to buy them, right, and that it's really hard, even because even if they own them, they will, the guy I worked with down in Arizona. I mean, he had a bag. Oh, got this little bag, right? I got my seat cover, right? Hot seat. He had a bag like this size, like a bag, little 2-handle bag. That's all he had for tools for doing residential. I was like, holy, I don't know. He had like one screw gun. I mean, very limited, but he knew what he was doing. He was good. But he also only got paid per door. You know what I mean? So he was hustling, man. He was like, and they weren't very much. I mean, they were making like, it was like $20 or $60 per door. I was like, oh my gosh, you never get that up north. And even the guy, he's like, I'm from the UP. These numbers are not good for up there. And I'm like, hell no, they're not. So anywho, but your dealership where you get your tools, yada yada. It's just stuff to think about. Like I said, you really should do like an allowance, if you can, and you can figure out a system that works. You can give them money and say, go buy your tools. You know what I mean? And these are your tools. And if you lose something, that was kind of always my thing. If you worn it out and can bring it back, I'll replace it. But if it's gone, you might need to purchase this or whatever. I had a guy one time, I remember, right? This was like 3 weeks later, something like that. He's like, all of a sudden he's like, oh, I got to go to that job. And he's like, I'm running low on batteries. And I'm like, running low on batteries? What do you mean? And he goes, well, I left one. It was all of an hour and a half, 2 hours one way. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, it was like 3 weeks ago. And no phone call? Like, no, like did you call? Oh no. He goes, and Plain Blanks looks at me and he's like, do you want me to go right now? And I'm like, hell no. I said, you got to go to this job the opposite way. No, you ain't going to go right now. I said, first of all, we got to call the customer. So the foreman called, right? The phone's been disconnected. Yeah, screw that. Whatever. It's gone. It's on eBay. Kiss it goodbye. Well, there's an easy, 100, $200 that's been lost today. Tony's Garage Door Service. Jeffrey, look up my videos. I should have it in a video. Yeah, check it out. Tony's Garage Door Service. Oh, Richard's here. Says, hey guys, how you doing? Glad to see you. 5 doors installed before Xmas. Oh, dang, doggy, man. You gonna be working the weekend? Hustling. Door guy. What's up, door guy? Man, look at that picture. I'm strutting. Got some muscles on him. TTI that owns Milwaukee also owns Rigid, Ryobi, Hoover, Dirt, Devil, and more. Good to know. I just seemed like I came across that whole TTI. They must make a lot of stuff. I don't know how I came across them, but I know I've watched a video on them. Tony says I'm supposed to get an inch tonight. Lake effect. Okay. So you get hit. At least I don't feel so bad. I hate lake effect. I'm always like, we're suffering. Nobody else is. Except for Chicago. They get whacked sometimes. Tony says I use my hip, no bungee. Holy cow, man. You're gonna break a hip there, Tony. Kevin's got what's up, Kevin? Hope you're doing good. This is Flex is I think Flex is German-based brand. They're based in the battery Technopolar, blah, blah, blah. That last part right there. I think there might be some brands coming out. Tanner's been playing around with one that might be better. You know what I mean? There's somebody that wants to rise up to the top. And I actually had a guy that was working today, and he was a contractor. He came up to me, and he's young. I could see the hunger in his eyes. And he told me, because he seen I had Milwaukee, and he was like, oh, yeah, I really like Milwaukee, He goes, I bought this nice, I think he had another framing nail or something. I don't know. And I was like, oh man, sweet, and he told me, he goes, I buy Mastercraft from Menards, I think it was, the boxes, because he goes, if you buy the Milwaukee brand, he says, you'll be an easy target. He says, then they'll take your stuff. But Mastercraft, I ain't gonna steal that. He says, I was like, that's pretty smart. But I could see the hunger where he was pretty set. He could have had the whole shirt and everything. And like I said, I like, the Milwaukee works. It works. But the nailers and stuff, I am not too confident in them. I'd rather have I trust my up in the boonies of Michigan more with a DeWalt, what do they call it? Their flywheel design than those cylinders. Tanner says you can use vice grips and cardboard, scrap wood, pulling down the vice grip to hold the tube to give you some more room to wind the springs. Yeah. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Flex is German-based company that was into battery. Yeah, maybe that's why you're paying more. Maybe it's an off from the normal the TTI or whatever. You know what I mean? So maybe it's worth its weight in gold. Broom trick works good. Got me out of a pinch. Nice, nice. It sure does, Rich. Guys are all stealing people's brooms. I don't know what kind of brooms you got. We ain't got no wooden brooms around here. Where they're all metal. You'll snap them in half. Kevin has got Flex German-based company that was heavy into battery technology. A tech at work had the impact, lots of power. Not sure about its durability though. Interesting. I don't know what it is. Lowe's always turns me off for power tools. I don't know what it is. I just Lowe's has always been I don't even look at them. I just don't even look like I'm like if I'm getting power tools, I always go to Home Depot. I did hear a guy mention, I don't know if anybody's got any dirt on this. I did hear a guy mention that what was it? He wasn't seeing was it very many DeWalt? I guess their contract is up next year and maybe they're going to renew it. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But he was just showing around that, a lot of stuff hasn't been bought for Christmas or whatever, but he was just saying how there's very little DeWalt. And I was like, well, next time I go, maybe I'll keep an eye out to see if maybe they're kind of phasing out. You know what I mean? I hope not. I hope they can always, because I'm kind of it all depends, right? Like I'll use Ryobi if I have to. Like I've been kind of interested in like maybe another torpedo heater, propane. It seems like the Milwaukee ones. Good luck finding them. I'm pretty sure that our one in town will have it. They're pretty heavy on the Milwaukee stuff. Like I should take some video. If I go there, I'll take some video of it. I mean, the place is it's huge and it's just all Milwaukee. I'm guessing they might have it, but online, nope. I think even at Home Depot, nope. Maybe eBay, I've seen it, but I don't even know if I really care. You know what I mean? Like I think I could live with I could live with a DeWalt. I could probably live with a Ryobi too. You know what I mean? I don't, the price I know is a little more mucho. And I didn't even realize in a video when I was watching it on the propane heater, the guy was mentioning that he was impressed that Milwaukee did put a power cord on it. He said because Milwaukee is trying to make everything cordless, and so he said I'm really surprised they did this. Maybe they're changing tune a little bit. And I thought, well, goodness, I hope so. Like I mean, I want my torpedo heater to be able. I can use plug it into the wall or I can use a battery. I want both options. Don't make me have to always use a battery. Do. Evans, I was just assuming since that guy was already doing the building, lowering the doors, it just made sense to me other than getting new doors. No, I like I said, I totally, I kind of got like the whole like, whoosh, I got slapped in the face when I seen it because it was kind of like still pictures. And it was kind of like the question of like, hey, like, I don't even know how to handle this. And I'm looking at it and I'm just going, run. Like that song, run. Like I'm just going, run. And it didn't even cross my mind. And I thought, after you mentioned that, I just went, hell yeah. I said, why not? Frame it down, reuse the doors, bada bing, bada boom. It's done. But I guess it's probably because the customer just kept, and hey, maybe they got something they don't know. Maybe they got to put a bigger vehicle in there or something. Because if they're 7 foot, man, 7 foot sucks nowadays. I mean, yeah, 7 foot doors just yeah, not for men. Men are it's tough for men unless they're in a business suit. They can have that kind of stuff. Tony, we always use 2x4. Hope we don't have a knot. Snap. Boom. 2x4 is pretty solid though. Rich has got. There's a reason he raised a garage, so I'm not sure that would work, but he does not need the height in the doors, then yes. And honestly, right? I mean, think about it. depending on where the man door is and stuff like that too for that garage. It would be nice if I had high lift in it. But if you're in a pinch and you're just looking for something, you know what I mean? Like, you know how it is. Like, you don't know what the house looks like. You don't know what the whole terrain is. You're not like, you don't know if somebody's just like, oh my gosh, I got myself a geo prison or something. I'm trying to think of something small. You know what I mean? Like, all we do is we commute back to school and with our kids or whatever. And we're just so excited that we're going to be able to park inside. And you're like, oh, okay, this will work out just fine. Or if it's like some dude that's like a roofer and you're like, what? You want to try to put that truck in here with a ladder rack? That ain't going to happen. Well, that's why I was thinking about making the doors bigger. Well, then we need to go a different avenue. You know what I mean? Because that's no good. That's no good. I just you can't piece stuff together, man. I tell you, it's just tough. It's kind of like I'm sure you guys. I've heard Tony talk about it a little bit too. It's kind of like that whole when you try to. I used to try to take corners, cut corners, and I used to try to leave the track. And I can't tell you how many times the track burned me. It just seemed like it became more headache than it was worth, leaving the track up. So it's just better off to, I just rip it all out. Plus it's all new. It's really the right thing to do. They paid for it, right? It's all brand new, even though track is track, but it's all brand new. It's all clean. Kind of like perimeter seal. Put the old perimeter seal on there. Do all that good stuff, all that warm. I had a guy one time years ago when I first started out. Basically we didn't bid the job correctly. And so we did the door, and then we realized well, this is how green we were. We realized that the door didn't come with weather seal. So called up the vendor and it was like, hey, you didn't send no weather seal with this. And they were like, you didn't order it. I'm like, I didn't know I had to order. I figured it just came with it. It comes with a bottom seal. Why wouldn't it come without the side seals? That's extra. Oh, okay. Well, we need some. Well, told us the price, whatever, 40, 60 bucks or something, and I was like, holy crap, man, we're only making like 160 bucks or something on this job. And so we tried to bill the customer, and the customer would refuse to pay us. I was pretty irked about it. It was a heating and cooling place. I knew it was like for like one of the rentals or something, but it was like, I knew it was the heating and cooling place. And so we never did work for them again. I thought it was kind of shady. It was a twofold, right? It was, the finger points both ways. But I just remember it was like, man, we just ate 40, 60 bucks that we didn't account for, and went out there, put it on, gave them the bill. And they were like, I think they said something about, they go, we think the weather seal should be included. That's what I thought too, but it wasn't. Rusty's got, what's Rusty got? Rusty. Dave, my brother, and I have both co-owners are still hard on tools. He says, my brother dropped my saw. Ooh, all an 8-foot ladder today. It hurt my heart. Yeah, the power tools are, they can do funny things, man. I mean, I remember I dropped out of 18 volts, right from the sky, because they come out of the bottom. Whew, man, be up 20 foot in the air, smack the ground, break the case or something, or a drill. And that happened quite a bit. Dun, dun. Sawzall. The good old Sawzall. Dun, dun, dun. Evans got Rich. The whole thing seemed weird because the guy said it was detached garage and that he threw on his house. Yeah, I think what it was on that Evan was he bought the shed or whatever, and then he brung it over to his house and attached it to his house. So it was an easy, like, it's neighbors. So he just, I don't know, man. It just seemed a little like, don't get too roped up in that, because it's hard, right? when you're first starting out and you're young and you haven't had experience, it's easy. It's almost like you're a people pleaser, and you kind of you'll get taken advantage of, and so you got to realize that this is business. And I think what always sat good with me is in the business. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've lost a lot, and I mean a lot of money through either theft, employees, through just bad mistakes, bad product, damaged product. I mean, you name it, right? Or taking jobs that should have been like walked away. Um, and that's just one of those jobs that you got to use a lot of caution. You know what I mean? Because somebody in the head already goes, "Well, I got this for such a good deal. I got to keep this thing going for such a good deal." You know what? And sometimes it feels like it's like the end of the world. That if you don't take care of this customer, like you're, oh my gosh, you're done. I'm done. You know what I mean? Um, and you just got to realize like you can sit on your couch and lose less money than going out sometimes and doing jobs that you got to go back to every week. You know what I mean? And make service calls or fix things. So that's how I look at it. I can sit on my couch and lose money, less money than I can on certain jobs. I go, mm-mm, nope. And I think that's what was really hard. That's what really clicks with me now. Because I run other businesses, and the distance, every time I look at distance, liability, flat tires, accidents, I just go, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Even if the customer is willing to pay me, it's not worth it, because I don't know. It's like, to me, unless you're God and you have zero callbacks, you always have to remember everything you go out. There could be a callback. You know what I mean? Every job I always done, I always figure there could be one callback. And I think that's what crippled me sometimes, because so like, here's an example. This might not be a good example, but it's an example. So like, I used to do the car wash, right? We had one that was across the state. It was approximately about a 2.5 hour drive one way. Being a car wash, they don't want to ever close down, right? So I'd always have to do it late at night. So while my family was sleeping, I was always out doing these car washes. I had to change out springs, shafts, bearings, because they're car washes. Everything gets destroyed. And there were so many variables. Like, I was driving a Ford Ranger, and I left town, right? I left town. It was fine. There was no prediction of any bad snow or weather. I get about halfway into the state. It is a monsoon, right? I mean, a foot of snow has downpoured, and I'm driving. I got a 4-wheel drive truck sitting at home, but I'm, these are all the variables you got to take, right? I'm like, I'm not going to drive the truck and put all the wear and tear on it. I mean, I don't really need that. I'll just take the Ranger. And I got semis past me, and all I'm thinking is, I'm going in the ditch. I am going in the freaking ditch. You get out there. I mean, there was just all kinds. I remember one night I brung a guy with me, another helper, and he's up there and he's swinging away. And I told him, I said, this is going to take us, I said, somewhere between 4 and 6 hours. And we're starting basically at like 11 midnight. And he's like, to change out a couple springs, we'll have that done in a couple hours. Well, I haven't found a way to do it yet. So what's he do? He gets up there, right? He starts hammering first thing we get there. And he's acting too aggressive. And I told him, I said, dude, I said, why don't you come down? I said, just take a break. I said, you can't get that bearing off. I said, let me have a whack at it. Oh, I'll get it, man. He just goes at it more harder, right? All of a sudden, bam, smashes his thumb. You hear the whole, I got hurt. Oh, I'm sitting there going, now I got an injured soldier with me for the rest of the night, all because I told you to come down here and take a break, and now you got hurt. So now I got to hear he did pick up, 30 minutes an hour later. He finally started helping with certain things. He still had one hand. But I didn't know if I was going to take him to the hospital. I don't even know where to go. I mean, I can't take him home. I'm already 2.5 hours in, so, where was I at with this? Went off on a tangent. Sorry about that. Yes, like walking over dollars to save dimes. Yes, yes, yes. You have to watch people, man. Customers can be, how do I look at it? I don't know why it clicked on me. I don't even know when it happened, but there was a point when I realized that I went, customers will waste your time, especially residential. The commercial I like because I look at it and I go, when I go to commercial customers, I've never dealt with a 90-year-old person. I've never dealt with a 25-year-old person. I've always deal with people that are about that sweet zone, 35, 40, 50s, maybe 60s, I don't even think I really push in the 70s, maybe a little bit. But you're dealing with qualified people that earned that position, right? And then typically who's working underneath them as maintenance people are younger and more qualified, whatever, right? You're working with a team that, when you're like, hey, can I borrow that forklift? Yeah, man, go ahead. Help yourself. You want me to run it for you? I can help you. I'm getting paid. Yeah, sweet, man. Please help me out here. Where like with the residential, you have to coddle them. You have to go out there. It's coming exactly out of their pocket. So they're watching everything. Well, why is the door got a scratch on a commercial? You think that scratch is going to hurt us? Wait till next week. It just, there's bigger money, not to say there's nothing residential, but I realize that I go, at least in our demographic, we have a lot of dumb people that will, like that one lady that almost got me that one time. And she was like, yeah, I need somebody to come out here and give me a free estimate. And I'm like, okay. If we come out, it's going to be $30 to give you that estimate. And the lady's like, but it says free on the phone book or whatever. And I said, it is. I said, I can give you numbers all day long over the phone. I said, but if you want something written, we were going through a real weird lapse at that time. We were getting hit with a lot of insurance claims. And then people would get the checks. They'd never use us. I was getting sick of it because I was so, it's one of those things, so buried, so busy, never seeing my family, never enjoying my life, that I was like, something's got to give. I mean, I need to go to paying customers. And so I would, I just told her, I said, I can send you something, whatever. I can, no, I need something for my insurance. Yeah. Well, I know how this is going to go. And it's $30 for me to come out. I mean, that's pretty fair, don't you think? I mean, you can't even get a plumber. You can't even get a service tech out for $30. I'm going to drive out and give you a piece of paper and handwriting and my paperwork on it with my insurance and my truck and my gas and my liability insurance and everything else on the sun, workman's comp and employees. And yeah. Tony's got Rusty. What model is that LiftMaster that we're not putting enough grease on the gears? Evan says Rusty told me it was 2 Light Chamberlain chain drives. Oh, Rusty's got it right here, man. Boom. Tony, the model was a LiftMaster, the 83650-267. Dang old chain drives. Crazy, man. Crazy. Just crazy. Tony says, great. Tony's got, that's the one I sell. Dang. Well, keep your eyes out. Like I said, if they're making weird noises, you better crack that cover open and check her out. Put some grease. Maybe buy a few things of them. Richard Scott, he says, any info on best product? I get requests for entry door on residential garage door. So what is this? Any information on the best product? I get requests for entry door on a residential garage door. So are you talking like buying man doors is what I call them, or the residential doors, request for entry door. So I don't mess with the entry doors, not anymore. I found out entry doors are actually harder than garage doors. So I used to have a guy at Home Depot that I give him a few dollars here and there, but he would recommend me versus theirs. And so what the gimmick was is, so basically what it was, at least their Home Depot. Home Depot was cheaper. Um, they were cheaper, but when they would come out there and start tearing into your man door, service door, residential door, um, they would anything was everything else was extra. Trim, that's extra. Floorboard, baseboard, whatever, rotted out, extra. Trim, everything was extra. Like they are taking a door and poof with the brick molding, maybe that was it. They pop it in, that's it. You want trim? That's extra. And they charged a lot for it. So my gimmick was, though, is I would come out, I would look at it, I'd tell them it's going to be, this. And that was always a hard sale in a sense, too. We always had trouble because people would be like, you're going to charge me $300 and I can get the door for 150. And I'm like, I know, but I got to haul it here. I'm going to do all the trim. I'm going to do the base. I'm going to do the kick plate. Like I'm putting in the door set. I'm like, like mine's all included, and normally they'd bite. But what I found was, man, getting them to seal and the tweaking of them. And it's like you're dealing with somebody's, their behind, you know what I mean? Like their toilet, you know what I mean? Like their cushy pad. Like, I mean, like in their heat duct that's sitting right next to it. Like they want the heat blowing just the way it always is blowing on their feet, right? When they're taking their morning dew. And so with a man door, it's even harder because you can't power through it with a garage door opener, right? Like if a door, how it is, a garage door is off, you can power through it. You can cheat. Man doors, I had one guy, I remember he's like, you see this? He's like, get down on your knees with me. He's like, you can see outside a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you can. Especially like in the corners and stuff. And he's like, I can't have that. I got an energy efficient house. And I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. I'm like, I can make it tighter. I said, it's got those adjustable thresholds. I said, but the door drags pretty hard. I don't care. I said, it's probably going to rip off the seals. I don't care. He goes, I'll worry about that. Okay. So I gently brung them up a little bit, just as much as I could. The door was rubbing, I thought, harder than what it should be because you got to really push it shut. But that's what he wanted. And so I kind of finally bowed out. We used to do commercial ones too, and those are even a nightmare. I do not recommend the commercial ones if you don't have experience because they fill them in with concrete and they are very expensive too. It's a different animal. Evan, just looking at Menards. They ship to Canada. I'll probably start ordering openers from there. Ooh, nice. Nice. Rich has always been showing me, Rich B, he's been showing me some prices. Menards got some good prices once in a while. Kevin says, you get your seal by the door or bulk? Buy in bulk. So good question, Kevin. You can, I think you get it a little bit cheaper if you buy it in bulk. I think here's my 2 cents. It doesn't really work. It depends on the size of your company and how you run things, right? So for us, what I've always noticed is, so we got like shelves above the office, little compartments. I made it that way because I knew weather seal was always kind of a bear. I didn't want it on the ground. But it's the boxes always collapse. Like if you try to stack 2 of them or something like that, the boxes always collapse and the weather seal gets a little funky. Not to say it can't get funky in a bag, but what I always liked the best, this was always the sweet spot with Wayne Dalton. Wayne Dalton always had the stickers. I really liked the stickers. Every week the doors would come in. They were a different sticker color. Very easy to identify through the shop. Stuff got mixed or pushed around or whatever on carts or just stacks. Very easy to identify. They had numbers on them. So numbers would change too. So the color and the number would be different. So that was very nice. But they would come in a bag, right? Both ends crimped, whatever. I loved that. So they always stayed clean. Because sometimes we got them hanging out the back of the van. Sometimes they're up on the ladder rack of a truck, right? Catching debris, right? You know how it is, right? If you live in crappy weather, the road salt coming off the cars. And weather seals typically for me is one of the last things I do. And I tell you what, by the time I'm doing weather seal, I'm normally not the happiest camper. So by the time I'm doing weather seal, I'm not in the mood being like, this mother fudger is dirty as a son of a biscuit, and it gets in all those little deep grooves. And if it's cold, good luck cleaning it. So being in the bag, so we buy them in the bag. You know what I mean? Typically, yeah, it's maybe a little bit more, but it's one of those things, the convenience, and then it's labeled. That's the big thing too. It's labeled, so it goes with that door instead of you digging, and then it's, well, hey man, we need a 7, but we only got 14. Okay, we'll take the 14, cut it in half. Oh, okay, and then you know what I mean, like it just so we buy it by the bag, pretty much with the door. That's always been, it seems like, the best for us, because that way when they come off the truck and that, this weather seal goes with this, and you don't have to do that whole decipher type stuff. Like I said, I think we don't have a really big shop, so if we had a big warehouse, sure, maybe heck, I might even, you just start making doors of some sort, but it's weird how your time, so like I used to rip the cones off, and I would, what was I doing? I think I was making springs. It'd save us like $2 per spring. And you get to a point where you're sitting there kind of scratching your head going, it's saving us $2. But yeah, I can go out and do this in the same amount of time, make $20. There's kind of a bottleneck here. You know what I mean? So, we're just going to chuck these, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but there was that time when the cough syndrome was going around, and Service Spring was short on cones. That got scary. So we were saving cones. But like I said, it just seems like in life, in business, you're constantly always juggling. It's I don't know about you guys. This is just how I feel. It's either it's time or money. And what's like, when I got a lot of money, I got to spend a lot of money to get stuff fixed because I don't got the time. And then it's like, when you got the time, it's almost like you don't got the money. You know what I mean? Then you got the time. So it's always a weird balance, right? It's kind of like when you make that extra few bucks and you're like, yeah, I just made that, made that extra 500,000 or 10,000, right? And all of a sudden there's a transmission puking out of the truck, and you're like, fudge, wow, good thing I guess I made that extra money. Do. Tony's got the roll, Kevin. Are we talking about bottom seal? Bottom seal just comes down the door. I think we're talking side seal, right? Side seal. What they got is foam stop. Anybody else got another word for it? It's foam stop. It's vinyl stop, vinyl seal, foam stop, weather seal, perimeter seal. I can't think of any other ones. There's so many verbiage. Like when I call these vendors, they're like, "You want what?" I'm like, "I want weather seal." You mean foam stop? The stuff that goes around the side? Yeah. I'll never forget the vendor right through Wayne Dalton. The one guy, he was always kind of a jokester. I called him up one day, and he normally didn't take my orders, so I wanted to be real thorough. And I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I don't want those plastic rollers." He's like, "Oh, Dave, man," he's like, "You don't want the silent glide?" And I was like, "No, I don't want those. Like, I absolutely do not want those." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because," I said, they don't work that good. They're junk." And he goes, "Well, Dave," he goes, "that's why they're called silent glide." He goes, "They're not silent roll." He says, "They ain't got no roller bearings. It's just metal stem on plastic." And I'm like, "You're right, my brother. I love you." Like, I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I want the ones with the bearings. I don't want no silent glide. I want, silent roll." Tony's got 250 feet. We must be talking about bottom seal, change up bottom seal. Yeah, we buy it by the roll. Perimeter seal? Box. Tony's got box by the box. Dun, dun. What's Rusty got? Kevin, do you mean the weather seal that goes up the sides, across top, or bottom? Bottom rubber. Yep, that's what I was kind of thinking. Ooh, this might be for Rusty. Rusty might have something on this one. What's this? Thoughts on Clopay China doors? I don't think I know anything on that. Clopay China doors. Rusty, help. I don't think Clopay is China. I did talk to, which was kind of interesting, right? I talked to an appliance guy, and I was just asking him, I said, how's business? He said, oh, we did double this year. They're doing good. I said, oh, good, good. Little mom pa kind of shop. And he says, but we are nervous about tariffs. He says, because our stuff's gonna, and I was like, ooh, I didn't think of that. Kevin says vinyl doorstop. We buy it by the box. Never order it with the door. Like I said, it just all depends. I don't think there's really a right way or wrong way. I've just found out um, it's always kind of different. Um, because it seems like um, when you're I don't think a lot of you guys have experienced, you know, the full effects of, like the employees. The vendor always used to give me crap, why do you got to order it like this? Why you do that? And I said, because I said, it's not me, and it's like you're trying to bulletproof things, And so that was another step that I didn't have to babysit. So when I was already in the bag, we already had a system. Look for the door, look for the sticker. The sticker is purple. It's pink. It's blue. It's green. You know what I mean? And what was nice is with Wayne Dalton is when you got your slip. I don't think it's called the confirmation, but the order, when you got your order in from off the truck, that would actually have a sticker on it too. So everything went on a clipboard. And so it was nice because you had the order for what the customer ordered, you had the confirmation, you had the order that came in, and it had that sticker on it. It'd have a one, it'd be black, it'd be pink, whatever. And you knew you were looking for that color. So it was like you could give the clipboard to a worker and say, here, go get this loaded up in your vehicle. And they know the basics, right? And what was nice is Wayne Dalton would actually abbreviate little things on their paperwork for the drivers. And that was amazing because you could go through and we all understood the verbiage, right? We understood that it said, oh, here's 2 boxes of weather seal, or they did 2 boxes or one, or 2 sevens, 116. Okay, so that's in the bag. It really spelled it out. So you're almost like a truck driver for Wayne Dalton. It worked really good. Because when we went to Amar, when we were doing the Lowe's stuff, it was a freaking nightmare. They would give us boxes, and like I said, our little shop, I mean, I've been still looking. I got some pictures. The shop was full. I had a full blown 70-foot trailer out by the by the road, not the road, but the side of the building that was stacked full of doors. I was in the process. I sold one of my houses. I was in the process of buying another one, but I was doing the camper life, right? We ended up I was staying in the shop. I tarped all this stuff, right? I was literally sleeping at the shop in a camper, and I woke up in the middle of the night. And we had a hell of a windstorm, man. I mean, I'm like, woke up and like, what is that noise, man? I'm here. What is that noise? I go outside, and it's this like 15-foot tall wall on the 70-foot trailer. The whole thing is shifting. The whole thing shifted. I'm out there holding a tarp at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning by myself. Oh my gosh. And I'm thinking all these doors are going to tumble over. We don't have room in the shop. I got them tarped. I thought I had a tarp good enough. Obviously I didn't. I'm like out here by myself, man. Like, how long do I got to stand here holding this tarp? I'm going to die here. I mean, I was like, I will be damned if these doors fall over, because the trailer is just a metal deck. So if it falls over, they're going to get damaged. I got it somehow under control. I mean, just grabbing everything I could, stuffing, trying to knot the tarp up. So when you don't got a huge location, efficiency is really key, right? So when you can have, everything's in bags and everything's labeled good. But like I said, when the Amar stuff came in, it was like they literally, you ever see them drop those skids, or not skids, but the trusses off? for houses, right? And that truck pulls and things, they're all like flexing and one breaks typically, and they slam, they hold. That's like what Amar would do with us. Like they typically would just back up door, and it was like the truck would tilt, which it really didn't, and their stuff would just come out. And you'd be looking at all the labels and like, how do I, like, this has no job. Well, that's a 12-inch radius for a 8 foot tall. The guy would tell you, okay, like, well, who's it go to? Oh, it's just universal. So you had to pretty much always, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So that's why when the power tools, your dealers, I mean, all these things, when you've been in business for some time, you realize the nuances of things. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, how I have to have a really good vendor, and I got to have power tools I can just send the guys with the card to go get instead of me, because I don't got the time, because you'll run out of time. That's how it works. You run out of time. And then what'll happen is you start wanting to, life changes, right? Maybe you want to start hanging out with the kid, or kids or family. And you realize you're like, I can't. I mean, I've lost so many weekends and nights. It's not even funny. Random question. What's up, Mar? Glad you're here. Hope you're doing good. Random question, Dave. What would you say the ratio is of garage doors and gate repairs for you over the years? It seems like this year it was pretty low on the old gates. Like I said, this is at a lame duck year, but we normally average somewhere between sometimes it's about 4 to 6 to 8 jobs. That'll be, I always kind of think of, they kind of intertwine. It'll be like some fencing along with some gate operators or something like that. It kind of all depends a little bit. I always think, I know a guy that used to work for me. He got his wings clipped real quick. He was traveling too far, and he did a gate, right? A gate operator didn't put enough concrete in the poles, so everything came loose. Then didn't come back and warranty his work. So the customer had us come and fix his bad install, which is horrible. But gates are a different animal. There's a lot of accessories that you need to build into them, especially if you're in the snow belt. And the weather's been so crazy lately. I just got a text a couple days ago. This guy was messaging me, and he's like, hey, the sensors, the photo eyes. And I said, yeah, you really need these boxes that cover them really good to keep the snow off them. I said, but they're like $450 per unit. And he had 2 units, 2 gate operators there. And he was like, oh, and I'm like, that's kind of pricey. And I'm like, I know it is, but it just is what it is. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of stuff, you got to add 3 buttons. You got to add the right photo eyes, the right boxes, the right reflectors. You either got to have your 10K stuff on there to be compliant. It's a different animal. It's a different animal. I like it. It's good. You're on the ground. If you don't want to be up in heights, that's nice. But you can be in some crappy weather, so you better have, that's why I like the HSLGs, because the cabinet is somewhat protected. Like LiftMaster, the way they design theirs, some of the ones, even the Linear, I guess, has one too, right? You take the cover off, and most time it's not beautiful sunny days. I mean, sometimes it is, like the days you get cooked and you get sunburned really bad. But you'll be in the rain, snow. But we don't do a lot. We do a lot of repairs for a lot of our existing customers. Rich Beast commercial is, I don't care, just get it done. Anything you need, let me know. I need it fixed yesterday. So true. So true. That's why I kind of like the construction. I like the builds and stuff with some of the builders and that too. For the most part, there's always a caveat, right? It ain't like all just sunshine and rainbows. I will be the first to admit that. But it's like you're dealing with, what's nice about it is like you're always dealing with adults. You know what I mean? My buddy tells me, right, the other day, I mean, this is just a residential one, right? He does the roofing stuff. He says the whoever installed it didn't install the nails right. There's like a 10 by 10 section that's falling off. The whole thing's sliding off. They just bought this house, but they just revamped their basement. Just put $50,000 into the basement. The roof's coming off, right? He goes up there. He says, "You need a roof, this thing." And he says, "Worst part is, Dave," he goes, "somebody went up there to do a repair. They pushed it back up as best they could, and they shot right through the shingles." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "So we did as best we could." He says, we caulked everything, all the holes where somebody just blasted through it. They need a roof. And he's like, this lady comes out. She's drunk. She actually peed herself in front of me. And he says, this is actually in a pretty ritzy area. He's telling me where it's at. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. And he goes, then the guy's showing me something in his basement. He's getting water down there. It's coming down your walls. He's like, that's what I told him. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I say it's kind of like sometimes you're dealing with a little more qualified. You know what I mean? Like, they're not drinking. They shouldn't be at the job. Not to say I have never had zero one I've gone to, but you're just, hey, can you help me? The residential, that's why I like to really pre-qualify them, because can you send me some pictures? And like I said, hey, if it's a little old lady or a widowed old man or something, I'm more than willing to do. I might even do it for free. It's just, but when you get the ones that are doing that whole, like, I'm just calling around, or, could you come out? And then they're not going to be there, that kind of crap. I've had that happen before. They just do weird stuff. So you got to really be careful, where when you go to a corporation, somebody's there, you know what I mean? Their place is open from 8 to 5. Um, it just all depends. Evan's got, just looking at Menards, looks like Genie still makes one model belt drive with the was it AC channel rail. Is Genie DIY lineup? I don't know. I just looked at I was looking at the Genies. I was misleading. I apologize. I was kind of misleading on that, because I kind of have a soft spot for Genie. I like Genie a little bit, but when I look at the ones that for the box stores, I go, oof, that rail is not to die for. So I don't like the rail system. I'd rather go with a Chamberlain for the piece together rail. There's just something about it. I totally forgot about it until somebody brought it up to me, and they're like, Dave, the DIY ones have those tubes. And I'm like, oh, they do. And I thought, and then I think some of the Genies that they sell at the box stores, they're prone for the button sticking. I seen some video or something on that. So it's kind of like, I go, if you're going to buy, and to be honest, like I said, if I deal with most customers, if they're like, well, I'm just going to go buy one or something, I'm like, just buy a Chamberlain, because I look at it and I go, it's typically going to be covered by warranty. It's going to have all the features of whatever you want, whatever you've seen, they're going to offer it, whatever tech savvy Wi-Fi looking thing. It's going to be probably easy setup. And for the most part, it's either they can do it online, they can call tech support, and I can hand all that off, because I absolutely want nothing to do with it, where I'm programming your phone and looking at your, pictures of your wife or whatever on there, or whatever. Here you go. Here's your remotes. This is what, here's the accessories that it can come with. Have a good day. You know what I mean? I got the mechanical. I'm mechanical. I'm not tech. So, like I said, the Genie ones though at the store, I don't know, except for the only one that nobody sells anymore, which I'm bummed about, was the screw drive. Because I did a lot of screw drives, man. They had the piece together rail, the C channel. I like that. The reason I like Genie so much, I normally like the screw drive and I like the Z channel, but not the piece together rail. It seems like it's something's cheaper about it. Rich, he says, I have a facility that has 30 doors, all 40 years old and damaged badly, but still roll. Nice. Most need tension and some hammering to straighten. Would you guys charge per door or per hour? Ooh, I don't know. 40 years old, man. Oof. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I don't even know. Probably just do time and material. Stop molding perimeter seal. So Tony's got. What's two? I see twos here. How's it going? Hope you're doing good too. We're doing pretty good. What did I get here? Richard. CHA comes from China. I believe their prices will shoot up a bunch. That's why I was wondering about the one that was saying something about Clopay China. And I thought, does Clopay come from China? I don't know. Good. Maybe their steel comes from it. I don't know. And they roll it here in the States. I don't really know. I mean, in a nutshell, can anybody mention some doors that are for sure USA made? I mean, I think of the Victa doors, right, from Service Spring. Maybe Haas is USA. Wayne Dalton, I've seen the facility make them, but I couldn't tell you where the steel comes from. Probably comes from China. They just use the roll forms and stuff here to make them. Do. Isn't that like the whole verbiage nowadays, right? You know, assembled in the US. And you're like, well, where was it made? Where was it produced? Where was the product, assembled. Evan says, once you reach a certain level, you can pick what brand of doors you carry, or is that dependent on who you can get as a vendor? Ooh, that's a good question. That one can go pretty deep on that one, Evan. I guess there's a lot of different ways to look at it. So I'll just kind of tell you my story on it a little bit. So like when I first started out, I don't even know we were getting doors right from the get-go. I don't know, but we signed up with Wayne Dalton like right away. I literally met the what would he be called? He wasn't their salesperson, but he was like in charge of their the warehouse. Like he was like I don't know what to call him. I'm trying to think of what his name was. I know his name was, but I'm thinking what his anyways, he was like he was the guy that, ran the facility. He was the head honcho. Called him up for whatever reason. He said, yeah. He says, we'll get you hooked up. We ended up meeting halfway. We met at a mall. Kind of weird. We met at a mall. I actually had my business partner with me because I was scared. And so I remember we met, shook hands. Yeah, I got some paperwork here. Just sign this, blah, blah, blah. And, we'll get you going. Cool. Right. So we got going. Everything was good. We started off. What I didn't realize, I didn't know this, is that some of these companies, vendors, have different scales. Sometimes they do like an A, B, and C, right? And maybe A is the best pricing, C is the worst. So of course, I started on the C pricing. Didn't really know, didn't really care, right? Because at the time I was young and I was naive, right? And nowadays I look at it and I go, there's plenty of hookers out there. Just saying, you know what I mean? So Amar is one of them, you know what I mean? And they're a cheap one. So, and so what was happening though is I was ecstatic, right? I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm not going to lie. I was so dependent that I had this company called Wayne Dalton. And I'm going to save the world. I got this company. Like everybody's going to know my name. You know what I mean? Because we got this product and you're going to want this product. It's like having the Cadillac, right? Of General Motors. We got the Cadillac. Everybody's got their different opinions on it, right? That's just what it felt like to me. I didn't know any better. I was just happy we had a vendor. Somebody can call, somebody will bring us doors, drop them off. It just felt like you had another. You ever get a tool in your life that you're like, dude, this just made my life so much easier, right? Could you imagine if you're using a rock all the time and you got your hands on a hammer? You'd be like, damn, man, this is nice. That's what it felt like. It's just another tool in the toolbox. And so we went on for a while, some jobs hit and miss and stuff. Well, then I started kind of for a while, right? And I just saw it. And this went on for quite a few years. I was selling their stuff and working the numbers. And probably what was really happening is my numbers were low, you know what I mean? Because my overhead and just pricing didn't know how to price, right? Or whatever, my worth and all that stuff. And I started going to a customers, right? And like I said, it's weird how in business, it seems like everything kind of comes like in phases. Like you'll start getting bad checks. And you'll be like, I got one. Now I got two and I got five and I got six. What's going on here? And then that'll go away. Then you'll start getting charged back on credit cards. You're like, what the heck's going on? I need to buy a system. I need to do this. And then that'll go away. And then all of a sudden I was getting blowback from customers. They're like, like I'm giving them prices and they're like, you're like $200 higher than the last guy. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, who was it? And they tell me who it was. And I'd be like, well, can I see their bid? Yeah, it's right here. Grab it, look at it. Yeah, man, what the hell? And I'm looking at their prices and I'm like, I can't do, I mean, like I would do it for free. What is going on here? Well, what happened is, and this is sometimes how you can get locked up and you could be losing profit too, right? So what I ended up start doing, I was using them. I'd call WD, right? I'd call them because their system worked the best. I could call them. People would answer the phone. They were friendly. I could get prices right away. I would call them, literally take their price, and I would use that for my estimate. But then I would just I started going to Amar because Amar was way cheaper. And all of a sudden, that guy that we signed up with years ago stopped. He had to drive the truck one day. The driver was sick or whatever. So he comes to the shop, and he's like, "Hey, man," he goes, what's going on? He says, your sales are way down. I said, well, I said, here's the thing. I said, we can't compete. I said, I'm going to these jobs. And I said, we're these jobs. We're $400 higher. And I can go over here to Amar and I can get these stores, Okay. I'll have a talk with the sales lady. With that day, all of a sudden we got new pricing. Whoops. Sorry. Mike, whatever you are. That day we got pricing changes. And I was like, what? I was like, we've been with you for at that time, probably 5-8 years or something like that, And I'm like, we weren't getting the best pricing from the get-go. Like, I mean, we grew. We were one of their top ones in the state for their product. You know what I mean? And so that's just something that you gotta keep your eye on. Now I find it changes. It's like the stock market. It's like gas prices. Every day it's different. That's why I normally I just call, um, and the secretaries, uh, the one in particular, she does a great job. She'll actually call like 3 to 4 different vendors, and there'll be a big difference. I mean, sometimes Safeway. I mean, we're talking sometimes $400 to $800 difference in pricing on bigger doors, even smaller doors. But you got to know your stuff. You know what I mean? Like she knows the stuff like the back of her hands, and she knows like she ain't gonna do like Safeway has actually a flush door, a flush door. They actually have a flush door in a 16x7, um, non insulated pan door. And it was like, wow, that's amazing. Cause we get people all the time want flush doors. They don't want insulated, they want to pay the price or whatever. And we tried it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I had the oil can effect on it. Horrible. The installer sent me pictures. I went, holy crap, dude. I said, that thing looks horrible. And he goes, I know. He goes, I can't believe the customer didn't call it out. Well, a day or two later, customer called, said, this door doesn't look right. And I said, I seen pictures of it. I said, I would agree. I said, it's so bad. There's no questions. We're going to change it out for you. so we pretty much, I don't know if Safeway ended up refunding us or we just kind of ate it and sold it off to somebody just for like, behind a barn or something. But it was so bad. Even in the picture, you were like, dude, that looks horrible. uh, Rusty. I would do time and material. TM. Do time and material. Yep. Rusty's guy. If you are a dealer, usually pick one manufacturer and buy mainly them, and they give you better pricing per door. But you can still buy from other manufacturers, but won't get a discount, which is true. So that's the thing. So like for us, you kind of get kickbacks, right? We never got really up to the whole status of I guess the one big one. The only next step we could have went with is I think they do rebates. Um, but we got up so we're like, you got to hit a certain threshold, and then they'll put you on their website, which is, yeah, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like they'll put you on your website, and that way, if people are looking for a dealer or they got questions, and we would, I mean, it was like weird too. It'd like enter a number in. So when they'd click on the website, it would literally pop up our number, and they would call. It was always kind of confusing for the secretary and myself. Sometimes they're like, "Yeah, I called Wayne Dalton, and it somehow called you," and it's like, what? And so but they want you to hit, sometimes like over 100,000 in sales. So there's these kind of things they give you, and kind of like what Rusty's saying, they typically will give you better pricing. It just depends, right? It depends on the salesperson. It depends on how hungry. That's kind of sometimes the crummy part about this business, is because you can work so hard and then stuff changes on you. The openers start changing, the trucks start changing, the power tools start changing, and employees leaving, employees coming in, or whatever, that has no experience. You can, your salesperson decides that they're retiring finally. I've had all kinds of different stuff, you know what I mean? And, I ain't gonna lie, for like my vendor, that was the lady, she was, I was kind of call him one of my heroes. I really looked up to him, or her. And, she always had that kind of that mom figure, like would, I shouldn't say figure, but she always had that role model. Like she was like, if you called and was like, I got a problem, and she would handle it. And she was really good. She was really smart. And then the next guy that kind of took the spot just kind of felt like he was just there for the numbers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just here to make a commission, and I don't know if I'm going to stick around. Not passionate about it. So it's hard. You know what I mean? I think I remember when I first started, a vendor told me one time, or I'm sorry, a customer, and he told me one time, he says, it must be kind of hard in your business. And I said, why is that? And he says, well, customers, they come and go, and some retire, and then you got new ones. And we were so new. I was like, well, we haven't had nobody leave yet. But after he was one of them, that he moved up or moved to a different location in a building. This was a big facility. This was at Herman Miller. Um, you know, we had to deal with this other lady, and she was cold. You know what I mean? She was just kind of cold, and it really sucked because at one time when I was working for Herman Miller, I was literally going to hire one guy to take care of this place because they were keeping us so busy, and I couldn't even go out. And so sometimes you got to be careful in those situations too, because we had this Shar, I think it was called, the place. They do demolitions of power plants, and they were consuming quite a bit. And I talked to an electrician there, and he kind of brung things to light for me. And he said, he goes, they act like they want all this, right? But then when you come here, and he says they want all this safety stuff, they want all this insurance. I mean, their insurance is a nightmare. So then it's like you almost do the work, and then they want to we're going to get you paid, but we can't without this insurance. And you only got $1 million coverage. You need to have $2 million coverage. All this crazy stuff they make you go through behind the scenes. And then he was saying, he says, they keep me busy, but he's like, I told them, like, you're going to have to find somebody else. He says, because I'm losing my local customers, and you guys are temporary. So if I put all my eggs into this basket and keep you guys happy, he goes, I'm losing my local customers that are going to be here for years. He says, you're not going to be here for years. And I thought, that's kind of a good point. You got to kind of balance that out, where you got to realize, like, hey, I might be investing too much into this, and this company's not going to be around, or, put all your eggs in one basket. That could be detrimental sometimes. So you kind of want to be a little bit diversified. If you get a customer, sometimes just don't get so focused. Like with me, like the Herman Miller, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to hire one guy or two. I'm going to get their own designated truck, and then all it took was that guy, to get into a different position. And it was like, everything started kind of dwindling down. That was kind of in the 2008 stuff going on. And then they had their maintenance people pick up a lot. It was a really weird time. Rusty says, Rich, that's what I was thinking, but it's up to me to decide. He says they never asked. He says it's just one of those commercial clients that just says, do it. Yeah, I'm surprised. I was always a little nervous to ask about, doing time and material, but I've realized that a lot of, I had one that was for the one building we got, it's Brunswick. and the bowling place. They make all the bowling balls and all that stuff. But anyways, he wanted me to run all these wires, and we were going to hook up a new opener. And I told the guy, I said, dude, I said, like, I have no clue how to even estimate. I said, we're going down. I mean, this building's like a mile long. I said, running all that, I have no clue what we're going to run into. We got to go through a wall. We got to drill. I'm like, I said, dude, I said, we got to do time and material. And he goes, that's fine. And I was really surprised. I was like, what? He goes, you know what? Honestly, he goes, I think that's fair. He said, that's more fair for us. He says, more fair for you. I told him, I said, otherwise I'm just going to come up with an astronomical number and basically not to exceed. And I said, so if we got a little room in there, we'll do this. And he goes, no, that works all good. So I think we get a little bit nervous, at least I do, with time and material. I don't know if it seems like it's almost like unprofessional, but I think people understand it. Like, you just put it out there. It's kind of that whole thing. I think I go, screw it. I can sit on the couch and lose money, or I can go out and do this job that underbid. Now I'm cranky. I'm upset. Everything's going wrong. Or, because there is something different. That's what I do love about some of the commercial. Like, when you get there, you're kind of like the Fonz, man. You're like, no big deal. There's no rush. I'm on the clock. It's just like I clocked in. Hey, it's whatever. I'm getting paid by the hour. So if it takes me an hour, takes me 4, they don't care. There's something about labor. Like I said, it seems like they don't ever question labor. Labor is labor, but the material they can get a little funky on sometimes. But like I said, years ago, I had that one commercial, right? And I said, hey, man, I said, you need to replace that opener. And he goes, Dave, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, if we replace it, he goes, if you use that word, replace it, I got to get 3 bids. He says, if we repair it, I got a blank checkbook. And I'm like, gotcha. So I had to go back to my business partner. I'm like, dude, we're not going to replace this. So we're going to repair this. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, instead of making maybe $100 or $200 profit, we're going to make $500 to $600. You know what I mean? This is way back in the early days. I'm like, we're going to get paid for it. Like, let's repair it. 2, Rusty, we do $55 per door on a PM plus $100 or $120 travel. Oh, nice. Nice. That's good to know. Thanks for the info. Where are you located? What do we got here? Dun, dun, dun. Richard Clope is USA made in Ohio. Ohio. Let's see what this one's got. Clope has China mark on black rollers. Maybe the rollers. I'm sure they're like car manufacturers. That stuff comes from all over. You know what I mean? All different. They buy the rollers from there. They buy the hinges from here. The door sections are made here. Perimeter seals made there. Peace out. That's right. Probably go to about 11. Like I said, it's getting kind of quiet. Probably about night time. Have a Merry Christmas, y'all. Peace out. Thanks, Richard. Hope you have a good Christmas. We don't talk to you before then. Maybe you'll have a white or a green one or a rainy one. Evan's got Merry. Was this Merry Christmas, Richard? Yeah, Merry. It's like Chrysler. It's like Chrysler. Threw me off for a second. What is tomorrow? What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's already Friday. Say Thursday. What is tomorrow? Yep, I guess tomorrow's Friday. Son of a gun. They just keep sneaking up. Seems like it always just compounds. Got to wrap this up. Got to get this finished up. And at least for me, it's always been, it seems like you get to about the first of the year and it's just like, what happened? Hello? Anybody? But of course, we normally get hit pretty hard. The coldness, nobody wants to work. Everything kind of slows down. The cold snap is kicking in. National. Ooh, look at this. Evan's got favorite Christmas movies. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yep, I'm right there with you. Some classics. What's the one with the leg? Or is that what's the one with the leg? I'm trying to think. You're gonna shoot your eye out with a BB gun? Dave, that's what I told Evan about those doors earlier. I asked my dad 20 years ago why we didn't replace. He said we make a lot more repairing. Today, he says two guys on the site 4 hours. Total, he says 405, three. Yeah, yeah. It's a weird how that works. Like I said, it finally clicked in my head, man. When that I think his name was Ken. And I remember walking up to him because my business partner at the time was always notorious, right? Something just had a glitch to it or something weird. He was like, just needs to be replaced. Just replace it. I mean, sometimes he was warranted with it. It was like, yeah, this is pretty old. Like we're gonna have so much diagnosing into this. Um, and I just remember I walked up to Ken and I said, "Hey, man," I said, we really need to replace this. And he's like, "Dave," he's like, "let me tell you something." And I'm like, what's this old man going to teach me? Oh, he taught me a lesson, that's for sure. Open checkbook, or I got to get 3 bids. And I went, oh my gosh, I know how 3 bids is going to turn, because I was just starting to learn how the bid crap worked, right? Because you get a company, right? And that's like with us, we're the same way, right? It's like you get a company that you didn't even have to do a cold call, walk into their building, give them a business card, shake their hand, try to plow through their secretary, send them a letter, all these things, and you got a cold call that somebody, or a random call, whatever is coming in, that's like, "Hi, I'm whoever," and you're like, "Whoa, we would really like to work for you. Like we've been waiting for your call." They're like, "Yeah, I'm the maintenance guy. Blah blah blah. Like we need a price." And you're like, "Oh yes, sir. I'm ready. Like we'll do this one for cost. We'll even take a hit." You know what I mean? Just to get in your system, because that's normally how it works, right? It's all about, you get on their insurance, you get on their not payroll, but you get in their system, their accounts payable. You start getting that lubrication working, you know what I mean? And then it's like they're like, I'm going to give this guy another chance, you know what I mean? And then maybe, you make $1 the next time, and then you make $20. And then, you start talking, and he's like, yeah, I didn't like the other company. They never showed up on, they, two guys we had a customer. I was just talking to a guy today. I said, we got a customer one time because the technicians were going to duke it out in the parking lot, or well, they were in the building. It's a big building. So kind of like a parking lot, but they're inside the building. They were, fist up, everything, screaming at each other. They went bye-bye. And so we came in. Ooh. Tomorrow we are doing the other 15. Dang. Dang. On a Friday? Oh no. How could you? Evan's got Dave has the wife convinced you to raise prices. Nah, she did mention it. She kind of threw you under the bus on Sunday. She did mention it. She did mention it. She said there's probably about due. It's kind of a real pain sometimes, the whole system you got to go. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? It's just, you get some of them that'll kind of, oh, there's another price increase, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah. It's normal. That's why, like I said, it's kind of a weird, um, with the real estate, you don't ever have to sell. I don't know how to explain it. It's so different being on the other side, where, like for me now, I'm hiring the contractors. I'm getting the prices. I'm getting the bids. It's so different versus like when you're a contractor, it's like you're almost always on your knees asking, please, please, can I have this job? I want the cheese. Can I have the cheese? Please, can I get this cheese? When you're on the other side, you're the one that's looking at stuff going like, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? Like, this is too much. And what are you going to do? What are you going to provide? How are you going to do it? How long is it going to take you? You don't even have to sell, because it's like there's always a demand, right? Where like when we're in the contractor side, we were pushing for sales leads. We have to provide good service, because otherwise they'll call somebody else. Got to show up. You got to have reliable transportation. There's a lot, man. There's a lot that goes into it. That's why I always say there's a lot of variables. Dave. The other 15 are after we do two 10x8s and the two 8900 jack shafts. Nice. Sounds like a busy day. Good thing come when you're on good things come when you're on a vendor's list. Rich, what do you mean by that? Good things come when you're on a vendor's list. It's kind of hard to say on that. See, it's always kind of like up in the air and that kind of stuff for me too, because it's weird, right? We use I don't know, I think we use like 3 or 4 different vendors. Most time it's like Safeway, you got Clopay, you got Wayne Dalton. I feel like there's one more. Who's the other one? I guess there's Amar, but we don't really do too much. I don't ever see much Amar in there. I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe it's 3. But it's amazing that you can call on bigger jobs, you know what I mean? Bigger jobs and smaller jobs. And like I said, the price it's like their number, their calculator thing is not the right or whatever. It's like their tier jumps. So like I said, sometimes you can save 100, 200, a lot of money on a door just buying it from a different vendor. Do I really like it? Not really, because you're always switching stuff, but long as you're staying with standard stuff, staying away maybe from like the 9000 series Wayne Dalton, because those, you got to have special hinges and everything. That's the only thing. Well, hello, kitty. You want to say hi? Are you lonely or what? Miss Oreo. We got a new cat, so this one's probably looking for protection. But yes, a preferred, he says. Do. But I don't know if I'd fight so hard. You know what I mean? Like I look at it now, it's like you're almost kind of held hostage. You know what I mean? Like it's not that it's like bad, because you can get better pricing, right? But here's the thing, like I always kind of look at what always throws me. It's like impossible to beat the box stores. Like you'll never sell as much as the box stores. So the box stores always have realistically the best prices. Now the best hardware, no. I was at one time going to buy just the doors, from the box store, and then just change the hardware out myself, because it was almost still a little bit cheaper. But that's a lot of headache, right? Then it comes into, you got to go pick the stuff up. It all depends on your level of where you're at. Because there's a huge convenience about getting stuff delivered. That's a huge thing to me. Like when I got out of my head, don't you wreck my mic, kitty. Because what happened for me is I've run out of time. You know what I mean? And so everything had to be delivered. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have 20 or 30 minutes or an hour to drive to a vendor. Everything must be delivered to me. And once you can start stockpiling enough, that works out way better. You know what I mean? Where you are persistent enough to have that stuff ahead of time, it's commercial openers and residential openers. That's a huge savings. You know what I mean? Even though it might cost you, you're like, well, I go to that one vendor and it's going to be $20 cheaper. Right. But in a nutshell, you're going to pass it over to the customer. Don't worry, nothing freaky going on here. Just a cattail. Let's continue on. Evans guy says, Rich, what were you implying? He said, I'd be terrified on the Power Master. what's Evan guy? He says, Rich, what are you implying? He says, I'd be terrified on the Power Master video. Yeah, it's yeah, that's why it's kind of like nice to be diversified. Because I guess you just start realizing that everything kind of has its place, is what I've noticed, and that's why it's very important with the commercial customers and with residential. It's like, what are you going to do with this? What are you trying to, obviously they got a bunch of LiftMasters there. I'm probably not going to switch them out to something else that's a foreign one. Just keep going LiftMaster. If it's just a one-off, maybe I'll try Power Master. But Power Master is tough because there's no vendors, there's no dealerships for us. So we have to always, truck it all in. And then you got to hope, you got the rails aren't bent if you're doing trolley stuff. Um, so, but I got lucky with that Power Master. I had that board, man. I got real lucky. That was embarrassing. That was a horrible deal, man. It really made me mad too that they obviously I never got a call. Um, you know, or I thought for sure I was going to get an email because there was a guy, Damien, I think it was. He was a pretty cool dude there. And so I don't know if things have changed. I don't know if they sold. I don't know. All those things can happen. That's why it's really tricky in our business. I'm sure it's tricky for a lot of guys. I know it is. I know it is. Being a mechanic to a plumber to a HVAC, it's such a bummer sometimes that like I said, back in the 2008, I was a diehard lift master, man. I did so many lift masters and had zero problems. Zero problem. I installed it and I could even do a half-ass job and I could walk away with a customer and have a nice day. We'll see you in 20 years. You know what I mean? And these things would always work. You know what I mean? And nowadays, man, it's so hit and miss. It's not even funny. You know what I mean? Like it's just not even funny how when you think you got a good product and then just like the ATS, right? My last one was the ATS for my Amish people. Then they swapped us over to something else. So that's why it's just like right now, I couldn't even tell you, like I think, we're going to be probably Cap will probably be looking for a new, service van. Cause we're getting to that point where it's like, they're starting to kind of nickel and dime. What do you go with? I mean, Chevy's got 10-speed problems right now with some of their newer trucks. You know, I can't even tell you. I don't know what's even good. I mean, I just watched a video the other day. It said anything 2024 and 2025 vehicles suck. You know what I mean? And it's just bad, especially when you're up in Michigan and you got all the rust. Rich has got a preferred contractor. Ugh, care. Video at the end of Dave's. The video at end of Dave's video. Oh. Are we talking a HELOC? Is that, or did I miss something? Evan says not to trauma dump Rich. He says I've lived in the paranoia of being used by people most of my life. He says kind of started being more at ease and recent. Yeah, it's you just got to start kind of getting the thick skin. You know what I mean? And it takes time. That's the big thing in this business. That's why I think it's kind of. I've had a lot of people over the years that have worked with me, or worked for me, and they, it's like they come in and it's like they do this whole ooh oh my gosh. They don't realize all the nights and weekends. Some of you guys do, you know what I mean? And that's why I can relate with it, you know what I mean? Because I know it is not easy. The sacrifices, that's why I always try to tell myself, right? I slip up once in a while, right? When you see something and you go, oh man, that must be nice. Yeah, maybe not. What's that person sacrifice? You know what I mean? Like, what do they do to get it? What do they do to get that nice vehicle or house or whatever? It's a lot. So, but I think with more experience, that's why I'm always trying to tell people, like, don't get too big for your britches because you can drown yourself. And then you almost turn into, I went through these spats where it's like, I had to go, well, if I get that new truck, well, if I get that new power tool, if I get that new bandsaw, it's going to make my job and I can be more efficient. But is it? I mean, who are you making money, right? You're making the vendors, right? You're making Milwaukee, DeWalt, whoever, right? You're making them money, right? They're in a controlled facility, right? They can, where we go out, right? We don't, we lose it. It's in the cold. We drop it. Yeah, maybe it does, but now we got to store it. Now we got to worry about somebody stealing it. I mean, I don't know about you guys. How many times you go to a store, right? And you're like, man, I got to lock this crap up, man. I don't want somebody just reaching in my vehicle, taking something. I mean, that's a $400 or $500 piece of tool right there. You know what I mean? So everything comes with a cost. It seems like, This guy's Die Hard at Christmas movie. I love it. Oh man, I feel so bad about what was that? What's his Bruce? Can't think of his last name, right? Bruce in the Die Hard. Man, he made some good movies, and he's got that. He's battling that whatever he's got going on. And I don't think it's really. I don't think it's called dementia or something. But oh man, I hate seeing that. He did some good movies. He's right up there with the Mel Gibson. Some darn good stuff. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna head out. Looks like we have tapered off. I think we're gonna Bruce Willis. Thank you. Thank you. And we're right about that mark where I could glitch out, but so far, knock on wood, been lucky. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you got anything, shoot me a text. Rusty, thank you for the emails. I always appreciate it. And everybody else, Tanner and Evan and all that good stuff. Kevin, I hope Kevin has a good night too. And Rich B. And we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I got to go sleep. Have a good one, you guys. Make sure to keep your fingers, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.